Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may find yourself. Welcome to Be and Peace podcast, Community First, where we have social and legal discussions of issues affecting the community. My name is Michelle Nanaya Isuman. I'm a senior legal associate with BNP Associates. You're welcome to today's edition. In this episode, we are doing something different to commemorate International Women's Day. We'll be having two panelists who will share their journey and their entrepreneurial experience with us. And we hope that by the end of this podcast, you'll be inspired to join the business sector if you're a female thinking about it. And we hope that others who may be observing will have more insight to the nuances of making it and doing business in Ghana as a female. Our phenomenal panelists for today have unique profiles, and without much delay, I'll just delve into their profiles. Our first panelist is the founder and managing director of Eden Tree Limited. She was born in Ghana and so has strong ties to her community. She has a degree in business administration from Camden College. She's worked in the UK banking sector for over 10 years, and in 1996, she came back to Ghana and set up Eden Tree Limited. You may have seen their products in your local supermarkets while doing your shopping every week. As the managing director of Eden Tree, she's led her company to donate to 20 women in Northern and Brongahafo region in Ghana equipment so that they could sustain themselves in dressmaking and catering. Under her leadership, she has had many awards and been distinguished by many awards. And to name a few, I'll just go through them. A Lifetime Achievement Award for promoting urban farming in Ghana, the Ghana Agribusiness Entrepreneur Award of the Year 2013 and 2015, the TV Africa Award in recognition of women of substance and distinction in the Ghanaian society. Currently, she primarily focuses on managing the business and providing strategic guidance and direction to management to ensure that Eden Tree achieves its mission and objectives. I present to you Madame Catherine Probo Eduse.
Thank you.
Welcome, Madame.
Thank you.
Our second panelist is the Managing Director of PHI Century Limited, a company that was set up in 2011. And they recently celebrated their 10th anniversary about 2 years ago, just like BNP is doing now. And so they've been in the business for a while. The company provides helicopter services in the oil and gas industry. She also wears two hats. She's the co-founder of Legacy Girls Senior High School. You may have heard of it. It's the first private girls senior high school. It's a boarding school in Ghana. One of her passions is the development of women at all stages in their lives. And because of this, she co-founded the EOS Foundation, an NGO set up to provide seed capital and training and development for women at the very basic levels. Now, she has a wealth of experience. From 2007 to 2009, she served as the managing director of Ghana Airports Company. During her tenure, she oversaw the renovations of the departure hall at the international airport to improve customer experience and the upgrade of the Takoradi and the Tamale airports in time for the Africa Cup in 2008. So if you ever flew during those times, she was the one you had to thank. She joined British Airways in 1989 as a sales specialist and rose through the ranks to become the first Ghanaian country manager, a position she held until 2007. I'm proud to say that she's a product of Wesley Girls High School, Cape Coast, from where she proceeded to University of Ghana, Legon, and she was awarded a degree in economics and statistics. She further obtained an MBA from the Graduate School of Management, Brigham Young University, Utah, USA. She's part of the inaugural class of the African Leadership Initiative of the Aspen Institute and currently serves as the board chair of African Leadership Initiative, West Africa. She's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where she serves in the leadership, the women's group. She's married to Prof. Samuel Saki and together they have 3 children. Welcome to our podcast, Mrs. Esi Anosaki.
Thank you very much.
We're so glad to have you both. So without wasting much time, I'll just go right into it. Mrs. Saki, I'll start with you.
Mm-hmm.
I know you made a transition from being an employee working with Ghana Airports Company to becoming an employer. How did you know when the time was right to make this transition?
Thank you very much, Michelle, and I'm happy to be here. I think if I look back on my life, whilst I was in the university, I worked a bit for myself. And during my time at British Airways, I also co-run a business. So in terms of making the leap, it wasn't such a difficult one. It was because in the background, I was always doing something. And after the airport company, that was, yes, the biggest leap to start. I guess within me, I felt I could do more. And I believe that through my working life, I had garnered enough experience and to be able to launch out. There are lots of airlines in Ghana, and many Ghanaian airlines have started and haven't succeeded. Together with my partners, we knew that we had what it took to run a successful business, and we selected a niche where it wasn't very well known within the country, and with the oil and gas industry, there was a need for it. So that is how it evolved. That's how I started working within PHI.
So from what you say, I gather that the years of experience as an employee helped, and at the same time, you being a, maybe should I say, pseudo-employer, managing employment on the side as well, helped to prepare you to take that big leap, knowing that you're transitioning fully to set up PHI.
Absolutely. And I think that even when you're working for someone, if you have the mindset of an entrepreneur, then it will not be too difficult to lead, because you're looking at the business, you are managing the business, you are making decisions that will ensure the sustainability of the business. Therefore, making that leap shouldn't be, if you think of yourself that I am employed, so that is different. And when I get my own, I will do it. Then it will be a big leap. But if you work within a business like you own it and you want for it to be sustainable, then I think making that leap isn't too great. But you feel it within you. I mean, you know that there's a lot more that you can do, and you go for it.
So you practice where you are, and then slowly you branch out. Slowly or quickly, depending on your experience, you branch out. Madam Catherine Krobo-Eduse, so I would like to ask, I know you transitioned from the UK to Ghana. How were your first few years here as an employer? How was it like for you?
Okay, for me, my circumstances were different in the sense that even when I was in employment, I didn't actually think of becoming an employer. But I think for me, it's the natural phenomenon whereby you have children. And then when you have children, you have to think of so many things. You know, I came back home because I wanted my children to have their grounding here in Ghana, to get to know where they come from. And I came back as the single parent. So I had to find ways in which I wouldn't distance myself too much from them, where I'll be around them. So I had to actually search for what to do. I had to think through it. And then I prayed a lot about it because I didn't want to have to break the agreements that I had with my children's father, that I wouldn't go back to the formal working environment so that I could be with the children whilst they're growing up. And one thing led to the other. I would say I didn't do a Greek. Okay. My gardening in the UK was terrible, atrocious. But then I discovered a hidden passion that was in me that I didn't know about. So I got seeds, one thing led to the other, and I had to plant some herbs. I got seeds, planted them. And then I discovered this passion where every morning I would wake up very early to go and check if the seeds had germinated. So the passion that was hidden was for food and not flowers. So that's why my garden was atrocious in London.
Yeah.
So largely because of my children, and then also as a woman, I said to myself, I have to find something to do. If I don't go back to the formal office environment, what can I do? Because I want to be able to take care of my children. I want to be able to educate my children, not have to rely on anyone, go knock on doors, cousins or aunties or uncles, I need school fees for my
Just to
children.
be self-reliant.
Absolutely. So that's what led me to start Eating Tree, and I'm glad it happened.
That's very inspirational. So, from the lens of a female entrepreneur in Ghana, what's your unique perspective of Ghana's business and legal climate? Because I know you've both been in business for so long. So I know you have different experiences which have led you or formed an impression. So I'll just ask each of you what your unique impression is.
Okay. My truth is, my perception is that it's a no-go area. It's never ending. It takes a long time. And because of the time duration, it becomes expensive. So that has been my perception. But I think it's changing now. With your firm, you are beginning to do things differently. You are communicating. You are within the community. You are opening up. So that's refreshing, But my perception of it previously was that it was a no-go area. But thanks to you, that's changing.
But what about business as well? Like the business climate in Ghana?
Business climate in Ghana is tough. But if you are diligent, and for me, my philosophy is that problems are there to be solved. As the hurdles come, you jump them and you keep jumping them. So even though it's difficult, but it's achievable, you just have to be diligent and keep going.
Okay. Do you think the laws in Ghana help or encourage females to do business in Ghana?
To set up a business in the first place can be difficult in the sense that, this go come business. You'll be go coming, forever. But I wish that there was a way that, I think now they're doing it whereby it's a one-stop shop. You go to Registrar General and then everything can be done. But at my time, it was difficult. There was a lot of go come. And then there was the guru guys that they call them, so they are in the middle. You can't get anything done without going through them. So during my time it was difficult, but I think now it's much easier because I think they're doing a lot of reforms.
Yeah. We hope that in the future it gets only better.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Mrs. Saki, what about you? What is your unique experience?
I don't think my experience is unique, and like she said, it's very challenging. It's a very challenging business environment. I haven't done business outside Ghana, so I really do not have a basis for comparison with other places. Registering a company, in my opinion, is the easy part. Then it's actual implementation and the different areas that you have to be responsible for. There are different audiences that you have to deal with whilst managing the business. That becomes a challenge. But you have to learn how to overcome them, how to ensure that the business is still on a steady footing. But it's not easy. And there are times that I wonder that, couldn't I have gone to set up on the beach and sat there and done something easier? Why this? You go through those periods, but you have to pick yourself up because you have staff that are looking up to you. You have to move forward. You have to ensure that even when you dip, you are able to rise up again. Yes. In terms of the legal areas, we've worked with different lawyers, different law firms, and I think I don't have very many complaints.
But do you think that the law, as it is now, supports your business? Particularly, you are in a regulated sector. Do you think it poses more hurdles than aid to your business?
In some areas, because sometimes there isn't enough understanding of the business and there isn't enough experience of how it pertains elsewhere. So the way the business might be viewed make it challenging. So in that respect, yes. In certain spheres, they see that when you do helicopter service, it's a luxury service, not that it's a necessity if you have oil and gas, and that is the only way you can get movement offshore. So there are those nuances that you just have to wade through.
Okay. So I think my next question will go to Madam Kathleen Kobe to say. So I know that in scaling up your business, there are some challenges sometimes when you are bringing on board a private investor and all that, questions you have to ask yourself. Now, I know Eden Tree has some private or has had some private investors coming on board. When did you know that the time was right? What questions did you ask yourself? And what made you satisfied to agree to that arrangement?
Okay, I'd say the first thought was that, they say when you have 100% of nothing, okay, versus you have maybe 20% of something, there's a difference. So we established, I think we worked for till 2015. That's when we had an investor come in. And it was good for us that we established a history. We established how the business works. So there was history, there was something for the investor, to study and know whether this business is going to be successful or not. And so at that time, yes, it was 100% ownership, but then it wasn't worth much. We needed to scale up. And in scaling up the business, you need investment. You can't scale up without investment. So there was this issue where normally in our part of the world, 100% owners, we are cautious about bringing partners in because there's this talk about, they'll come and take over your business and then you have nothing left and all that. But it's not, it could be true in some cases, but it's not always true, especially if you decide to work with a fund. So an investment fund, they have a pool of money that they need to invest in businesses, and it's over a period of time. So maybe they can stay in your business for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. There's some long-term, 10 years. But after that period, they will have to exit. So when you have a situation like that, then at least you are comfortable that, okay, these guys are not going to come and
be there forever.
Exactly. Not take over my business and leave me with nothing. So that's how come I invited them in, because I wanted the business to at least have revenue, have income, and then hopefully will grow. Next generation will also come and run the business, and then the next generation, like you see many businesses in the West, like Kellogg's, they are there for a long time. Colgate, they are there for a long time. Johnny Walker, they've been there for ages, So I invited them in, and I also had this dream that, okay, after we scale up and I move out and the next generation comes in, that's when I can go to the beach and enjoy my pina colada, whilst the next generation continue working. So yeah, when they exit, another investor will come in so that we can grow.
But on the ground, how does that impact your company? Because definitely, if I'm an investor coming on board, I also have some terms and requirements or requests that I would want to introduce. So how did it affect your employees, the running of your business? How was your experience like?
Okay, so fortunately for us, our investor stuck to the terms. They didn't move out of the terms, and the terms were the normal terms. We report, we have management account, we're using their investment. Their investment helped us put up a facility, a processing facility. So for us and our staff, it helped us because the flow was right. So it was easier to work. And everything that they requested us to do was the normal things that happens in a business environment. Show us what you're doing, show us the accounts, what are you using the money for, your profits. Every year you do your audited accounts, and then they are on the board. They have to be represented on the board. So there are 2 of them, and then there are 3 of mine on the board. You meet 4 times a year, at least minimum 3 if you can't do the 4. And constantly you are sending them their accounts. They are linked with the accounts department, so they are seeing the numbers all the time.
So in some regard, that brought some structure to your company.
Yes, you need that structure. Yeah. If you're going to work with an investment fund, you definitely need that structure. You can't do it without a structure.
And I think also in your case, you had mutually beneficial terms. Yes, so that was helpful.
Yes.
Mrs. Saki.
With I think bringing in equity partners is a way of funding.
Okay.
And in both companies, PHI Century and Legacy, we did the same. Now, with PHI, it's a partnership, it's a joint venture with a local Ghanaian company, Century Aviation. And Century Aviation we had established the requirements to be able to operate aviation in Ghana. Now, you need the aircraft, and you go to the banks, you're not
willing.
No. And even when they are willing, they would ask for the down payment. And the down payment is more than you can afford. So the best way we found was to bring in a partner. And then, but before that, you have to ensure that your books are well set up, that there's transparency in the way you operate. And as well, ensure that when you bring in the new partner, the documentation is right. Your shareholders agreement, you sit, you deliberate, make sure that it is as comprehensive as possible, because when there are gaps, that's when you start having problems. It's the same with Legacy. We had built it to a certain point, but we hadn't reached where the optimum level. And so there again, there was an equity partner. They came in, and after a while, they exited. So you have to find the money to pay them to be able to exit. But it gives you the opportunity to expand to a certain level, and then you can grow the business better. It's not impossible, but getting a bank loan isn't easy. And especially if you've been in only a few years of operation, then it becomes more of a challenge, and you are asked to bring all the documents that exist in the world to support it. And especially if they ask for a down payment, a commitment fee, and it's a certain percentage of what you need, then it becomes a challenge. So going by the equity route, I found that has been, it works. Yes, it is. And of course, they also need to make it profitable for them. So they are not coming to collapse the business, but you need to agree on terms. You need to agree. They might insist on certain terms that are not negotiable, but you have to find a way to work to ensure that you achieve the goal that you have for the business.
Okay, so do you find that accessing these private equity investors is easy or it's difficult? What tips do you have for someone who may be interested in exploring this form of financing?
I would say that I think the first and basic is get your books in order. Get all your books in order. Make sure that you are filing your returns, that you present good enough accounts, good accounts. Then your business plan, it has to be sustainable. The business plan should be well done, because they need to be able to see that if they invest the money, one, they will get their funds back, and two, they'll get a good return for it. So do your market analysis, do your market studies, and understand the business that you are in. They would ask you questions. Is the confidence with which you are selling your business? That would help the fund managers. And there are different funds. Some funds specialize in certain areas. So do the homework and find the fund that would support the type of business that you are in.
Okay. Would you like to?
Yes, what I'd add to that is, yes, absolutely, it's important that you get your books and your business plan, everything. In fact, you need to be, I would call it investment ready. That is what it is. You have to be investment ready. If you are not investment ready, then these funds will not invest in you. And yes, you also have to find, for example, for our partners, what I did was I got 2 investment funds that were interested in us. I got them to pitch to us. Okay, to my staff, to management, so that we both decide which one to go with. So they did that, and then fortunately for me, the one that I had decided on was the same that my management also decided on. So it was a good fit. And I think for us, the one thing that made us choose them was that they had technical assistance, whereby the difficult areas that you are not able to manage, then they use technical assistance, which is outside of the funding that they're giving you, to get you expertise for you to learn. So our first area was our accounts department. So our first technical assistance was to hire a retired finance guy from Unilever. He was an old man, and he came in and then just changed our whole accounts department for it to work well. The second technical assistance was software. They require management accounts, so we needed a good software that would assist us in producing management accounts. So you need to look at the various investment funds and what they can do to help you. Then you can make a decision. It has to be the right fit.
Yeah. Let me add that you should be present. You cannot be an absentee or part-time manager. You should. Usually they also want to see how much you are vested in the business yourself. So if it's a business that you touch it from occasionally, then the commitment from you isn't as strong. So you have to be truly vested in the business.
Yes, just to add to that, they told me that, the funds, that they don't invest in companies, they invest in the entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So
as an entrepreneur, if you're watching this, you have to work on yourself. Make sure that you are ready to put in the time before you go looking for an investor. Thank you.
And it is possible.
Yeah.
It's not that it is not impossible. Yeah. It is possible.
Okay. Thank you. So I want to ask this. Mrs. Saki, what has been your leadership strategy? And why do you find that it works for your company?
My leadership strategy. I think anywhere, not only just my company, anywhere that I have worked in, I like to think that we're a family. And with a family, we all pitch in and work. We do the easy work, we do the difficult work. And for myself, I am present at all levels. I like to engage staff and get their views. But I'm also very conscious that ultimately there are certain decisions that I will have to take, or it goes to the board for endorsement or for final decision. But it's more to everywhere I've open door policy. I tell the only time that I don't want to be disturbed is if my door is shut. Otherwise, my door is open and you can walk in and we can chat. And I try to know a bit about their families, how they're doing, because I care. I care about them. And I see that some of them, they might not like it. Yeah, I'm older and an older woman now, so you're all my children. But it doesn't mean that they know they cannot get away with. When we're working, we're working. And when we have deadlines to deliver, I am a bit intolerant when deadlines are not met. But otherwise, it's a fun environment. We are joking. Recently with the soccer tournament, we have a WhatsApp group. Everybody was putting their, their predictions on. I put mine out and I said, no, I'm changing it after halftime. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
And why do you find that works with your particular company?
I find that it works because people should enjoy coming to work. Work, you spend a lot of time. You've left your family. You've left things that are equally or maybe even more important. You shouldn't come into an environment where you feel intimidated. There are people who are going to work that are not happy, but because of what they will get at the end of the month, they come in there. I think work should be a fun place to be, a place where you can achieve your goals. And that's what we strive for. We all have our targets. When we achieve it, we celebrate. If you don't achieve it, you have to do better next time. If you're not pulling too much, then we have a good conversation about it too.
And not too similar from me as well. I think we have their similarities, so I think that's what makes it work. So she mentioned family. That's the same thing. We call ourselves the Eden Tree family. Mm-hmm. We are a family. And sometimes, yes, I also refer to them as my children. And you have to care for them, and we communicate. For example, this year, our theme for this year is respect, on time, and working together. So we are all working together to achieve the goal of the company. And when the goal of the company is achieved, it's achieved for all of us because we are family. We have fun days, we have like the staff outing days. We go, we do sports, and then it's just a staff day to have fun. And then you go beyond what is required. So like, for example, you have the statutory requirements, which is the PAYE, the SNIT, and then the three, the tier 1, tier 2, and then tier 3. So beyond all that, you do all that, and then at the end of the day, we are family, so we share a meal a day with everyone. We actually have a dedicated staff that works in the kitchen for us, so we have a meal a day, and then when they are ill, we have a dedicated hospital that they visit.
Okay.
So you go beyond, because you're a family, so you take care of one another. And what I find is that when you're good to staff, and the most important thing that an entrepreneur must understand is that that's your key resource. That's key. Without the staff, you have no business to run. So if you have to be on the same page with them, they must understand the goal, they must understand the mission, they must understand what the company is about, they must understand that they are partners with you, they are key stakeholders, so once you make them understand and they feel part of it, more or less you are able to retain them over a long period of time. So that's the strategy. First, make sure that you have a good relationship with your staff. Be firm when you need to be firm, because also they can also take advantage.
I was just about to ask about that.
Yeah, be firm when you need to be firm, but also be soft when you need to be soft. So it's just that it's like parenting. When you are raising your children, there's tough love. There's it's okay, don't worry, you fell down, get up. It's okay. So it's the same principles. Yeah.
Just to add, I believe that you also have to have your policies in place. I'm a firm believer of that. Have the policies in place so everybody understands what is there. One, to try and avoid favoritism. So when the policy is in place, you know how it can be applied. However, it doesn't mean that because a policy is in place, if somebody has a peculiar challenge, you don't look at it. But it should be clear what can and cannot be done. And I think when there's fairness, people do appreciate that as well. And know that if I have a peculiar challenge, I will have a fair hearing, or I will get the support that I need.
So I think what I'm gathering from what both of you have said is just simply be human.
Yes.
Have that compassion and yet be firm. So that's very insightful. So how has society gender roles affected your leadership or your operation of your companies as well? Because I know you both have kids and there are certain societal expectations. So how have they affected you and how have you navigated that? I think I'll start.
You start with me. Okay, so for example, I don't particularly bother myself with restrictions, So for example, I'm a single parent. Okay, so the first thing that I have to put in place is that, okay, I need to have a partner. So just like you have a husband and wife, in most cases, the wife supports the husbands. So the husbands are free to go to work. So now I have to work. I have to be the breadwinner. So it means that I need a partner who will take care of the home. So then I have a partner, who is my nanny, who takes care of my home. So I see her as my partner. So seeing her as my partner works well.
That's a unique perspective.
Yes, it works well. Yes, because you see, we need partnerships. I don't know why we shy away from partnerships, whether it's having a partner in the business or whether it's having a partner in whatever you do, so that you collaborate. You can't do it alone. You can't walk alone. So I then ensured that I had a partner so that I could focus on work. And that's how it worked for me. I didn't see myself as, I needed to be everything, in the sense whereby I needed to bathe their children, I needed to cook the food to put on the table, I needed to take care of their clothes, that I needed to do everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then also at the same time magically focus on the business. It's not possible. I can't do it all. So you need to know how to share the responsibilities so that you are able to focus on what you can focus on, and then your partner also focuses on what they can focus on.
I think we need to be kind to ourselves as well.
Yes.
As women, because sometimes we're hard on ourselves, expect the world of ourselves, but if we are realistic, then we know that we need help and we're able to admit it. Mrs. Saki, what about you?
I mean, I would say that as a woman, you have to determine what is important. So maybe the society expects that your house as a woman should be clean and spick and span. I have lived most of the years without regular house help. They come, go. But for many years, when my children were young, my mother was close by. We didn't live in the same house, but she was next door. So she had the oversight. My husband was also supportive in that sense. But we have to prioritize our lives. And I think sometimes we put the emphasis, well, let me say, for me, I decided that my children were important, and they are different stages. Now they are adults, they can tell me off. But when they were young, my weekends were sacrosanct. It would be very difficult to get me to work on the weekend. And I don't mind working all hours during the week, but on the weekends, I have my weekends and I am with them and I'm present with them. Recently, I asked them, did they feel that I was absent? And what they said was, we knew you traveled a lot, but we didn't feel you were absent, because even when I'm out, I'm checking in on them. In terms of in the public world, I think sometimes I don't want to be seen. I'm a woman and I'm very proud and happy to be a woman. But in the business world, sometimes you don't want to be seen as just a woman. I want to be seen as I am coming to discuss a business venture, and not because I'm coming and I want somebody to hit on me. So it's you have to learn how to push back on some of those issues and look beyond and ensure that you are professional in your dealings when you're out and about.
Catherine, did you find that the stereotypes, did you experience a lot of stereotypes when you started? Because I know when you started your business way back in 1997, in those times, people used to think that, farming is typically a man's job. There was that impression, which I find to be actually not what happens on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But did you face any issues like that? Do you have any experiences?
I must say maybe it's because of my nature, but I didn't allow it, or I wouldn't even give that opportunity. There were a few instances where I had challenges with, I think, male personnel, and generally, I think they came from. No, I don't want to mention where they came from.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I had issues, because they couldn't fathom a woman giving them instructions, on what to do. It was like, hey, but aside that, generally, I basically go for what I want, no nonsense, whatever it is. If you can't fit into what I'm doing, then I'm sorry, goodbye.
So you stay focused, and not let
no.
the stereotypes affect you or your vision. Could you share some of your greatest challenges that you faced as a businesswoman, apart from the ones you've listed earlier or we've discussed earlier? Could you?
I think the looking back or thinking, it's you have different audiences that you need to deal with. You have the clients that you need to satisfy. You have your partners, you have your board, you have the staff. And managing the expectations of the different groups, which might not be similar, can become a challenge. However, there's no choice but to manage all those relationships and to decide at each time which one. And sometimes it's not, you can give in a bit. It's not always that you have things your way, but you have to learn to manage the different audiences that you have to relate to. It can be a challenge. It can cost you some sleepless nights, but there's always a solution. There's always a way around it.
Okay, for me, I would say the biggest challenge that I had, and probably I still have, is working with staff, in the sense that when I came, I'm coming from a different environment, and the work ethics that I came into, I found difficult to manage. So in the end, I had to work on me. So I told myself, okay, fine. If I have to say the same thing every day, then I will. And that changed everything. So I was able to work with the staff, because if the instructions that I gave them yesterday, they've forgotten, I'll give it to them again the next day. And that's how come eventually they learned, because it was difficult at the beginning. You say something, you go, you come back, they've done something different. You go do this, do that, you come back, it's different. And it's like, when you expect it to be done in 2 hours, it's taking 24 hours to get done. So it was a big challenge for me. But now I'm glad that the training over a period of time has worked, so that when they leave Eden Tree to go work elsewhere, it's like they say, oh, they've had good training. But I had to work on me to get that to happen.
Okay, so at this point, I'll ask, what are the 3 key lessons you've learned on this your entrepreneurial journey?
3 key lessons. So I'd say 1 is managing people, creating a balance. I find that when you create a balance, it works in all areas. So you balance the way you work with family, you balance family time, work time, you balance how you deal with the different sections. In fact, I got my daughter to come in and work with us 3 days a week, so that she learns how things work at the company, so that the next generation, they can take over. And it was just this morning that I was discussing with her how you manage the different departments. You learn everyone's personality and you create a balance. Otherwise, if you're not careful, one department will come and say, oh, this department, and then you run. That other, then you run. But no, you have to create a balance so that it all works, it all comes together and it works together. Otherwise, you will keep changing, your turnover of staff will be very high. So balance, for me, I've learned that, and it works well for me.
Sasaki?
I think my first lesson, what I've learned and would like to share with everyone, is be courageous. Sometimes we restrict ourselves and you think that you can't do. What if I fail? What if I don't succeed? Be courageous. Once you have that passion, you feel that you have, and you've done your homework, and you know that you can do this. You might fail 20 times. The one success that you're looking for, make sure you get it. So the first thing I'll say, be courageous. Be fearless. I would also say that maybe something that I've learned is that it isn't just about work. Make a difference in the life of someone. Make a difference. It's not about the bottom line all the time. So with the staff, be an inspiration to one of your staff members and make a difference in their lives. What have I learned? Enjoy, have fun on the way. Have fun. Enjoy the journey. And I believe that I have. Yeah. There are times that we can sit back and laugh and think about, you think that the world is going to crash. It never does. It never does. My father always said, aim for the sun and you won't miss the moon. Aim high, aim big. And if you don't get it, the world doesn't come to an end. Pick yourself up and move on.
Okay. So I wanted to ask about your key values that have contributed, but I think indirectly you've touched on that. How have you fostered a culture of inclusion in your workplace, female inclusion?
Different organizations, a bit different, but with PHI, we have tried to be intentional. So constantly we look at the balance, male versus female, and at what level that they are at. So in recruitment, then you want to ensure that you have a selection which includes enough male and enough female. We tend to use recruitment agencies, and if you come with 3 males and 1 female, you have to go back, because I want to have a good balance.
Intentional about that.
Intentional about recruitment. Intentional about women. A lot of childcare is still on the women. And so if you have a staff, and it's not only childcare, sometimes older parents tends to fall on the women. So if you have a situation where we are flexible, you can go and come back. You all have to look at the needs of the client. Obviously, if the client has a request, you can't let staff just go and come. You have to meet the needs of the client. But in any recruitment, I look at where are we? Where do we need to balance? It's quite a technical field. There are not many men within it. But when you look hard enough, you will find. And at the same time, I don't take token women representations. The women that work are fully qualified. And when you look, you can find them. In an interview situation, you might have to pull the information out a bit more. They might be shy, but
the skill is there.
Is there. And then once they are within the organization, you groom them.
Okay, so
Okay, so for me, touching on their values, what I've trained my staff on is that integrity, honesty, customer service. These are values. So you have to stay within this. and then being intentional with, I guess, as a woman in the lead, maybe it impacts how we recruit. So, for example, we are 45 women and then 20 male. So, but also it represents the type of work that we do. I find that in our field, women are more detailed on the little details. And then we need the men for the strength in carrying things that are heavier that the women cannot. So that's how
balanced it out.
Yes, it works with us. And then also childcare is also very difficult. So women can bring their young children to work if they're facing childcare difficulties. We have a creche that they can bring their children to. So these are things that we do. Maybe as a result of being a woman, it was easier to put in place.
So if you were a lawmaker for a day and you had the power to make adjustments to Ghana's law to inspire inclusion of women, with your experience, what would you change or what law would you pass?
What law would I pass? I think for me, I think I would want a law where it will give women the opportunity to be wherever they want to be. You find like in politics, there aren't enough women. Ministerial, how many women ministers do we have? But I think it starts from the young age. Women, we need to have, I'm not saying we are special, that we need to be.
We are.
Yes, we are differently. But however, in a lot of things, we don't push ourselves forward. Yeah. It's always the men. And, they talk about the men's club. That's where deals are done, How can we also end up being there? How can we, from a young age,
get a seat at the table?
They should drum the confidence in us that, we can walk anywhere, go anywhere, even be presidents, That is what I'd want something done, to train the women, not this cultural perception that, it's the kitchen, it's raising their children, it's being a wife, and that is good. But a woman can do other things as well, So
that goes back to who are the people raising these women, So we have
and in schools,
the curriculums, yes. So we have to.
We need women pilots. We need areas where normally it's perceived to be a no-go area for women. Oh, we need to go beyond that. We can go anywhere.
Mrs. Saki, what law would you pass?
What law would I pass? Maybe just to make a pitch for Legacy, because Legacy Girls, that is the vision behind it. Because we find that a lot of the women will not put up their hand to take on difficult leadership positions. And you should encourage it at a young age. At a young age, to be able to learn leadership, be given the opportunity to be leaders, and to know that you can be whatever you choose to be. If you choose to be a stay-at-home mom, be the best stay-at-home mom that you can. If you choose to go out and work, be the best that you can be, but always strive for that. In terms of laws, I think a blessing in disguise for COVID was being able to work from home and having more flexible working hours. A lot of companies are doing that. Maybe if it's legislated, it can be spread to a lot more companies, because during those times I found that I even worked harder.
Yes, actually.
Yes.
That was my experience as well.
You don't have the commute time. You start working in your pajamas, you change, but you can be more productive, and there should be more of the flexibility. So if there was something that could be legislated, I think that would go well. I understand that in terms of the maternity leave, 3 months is not enough. And all of that is being looked at. So that is in the right direction to give women greater maternity leave. We all carry our offices around with us. So once you have your laptop and you are not customer facing, and even customer facing, you have Zoom, you have Teams. So to use technology a lot more to be able to reach the needs of women who sometimes need to be at home. Yeah. And it's not only women, men as well.
Yeah, I like that very much. So we'll go to our Zoom participants. They have a couple of questions. Okay, so I think Tracy would like to know what, from Madame Catherine Kobreduse, what did you find to be the most positive surprise in your arena or your area of business?
Okay, like I said, I was surprised that I had a hidden passion. And then also, sometimes I sit back and I'm actually surprised that it is me doing this, when I hear people talk, like even when you describe me, in my mind I was like, is that me? So sometimes it surprises me what I'm able to achieve, yes. But I think sometimes it's the go. I don't even stop to think sometimes, But like Auntie said, being courageous, just push and you keep pushing.
Fearless.
Yes.
Mrs. Saki, do you find that mentorship has played a key role in where you are today or your progress as a female entrepreneur?
Oh, definitely. You need, it's almost like a guide. You need people who are sharing you in the background. They might not be linked directly with the work, but absolutely, you need people that you can go to and talk about some of the issues that you have. And I've had mentors along the way. I've had different people that you might have a particular challenge, or you are in a dilemma. Do I go for it? Shouldn't I go for it? And there's somebody who is independent, who is not family. It could be family, but in my case, they haven't been family that I know I can get an objective opinion. Ultimately, you make the decision yourself, but sometimes you need somebody to balance and think through issues with. So definitely, I'm a full supporter of mentorship.
Okay, this has been very insightful. I think we'll wrap up for today. I'm sure our viewers will agree with me that it's been exciting. I have learned a lot. For me, my key takeaways are you need to be courageous, you need to be fearless. And from Madame Catherine Kobreduse, I learned that you need to manage people well. So there are a lot of things to be learned. And I know that life puts you in this position. It wasn't something that started from the beginning, but you made something out of what life gave you with prayer. And that's an inspiring story to share. So I would like to say thank you to both of you for honoring our invitation. I hope you've also had a good time as I have. And I'm so inspired by your stories. To our cherished viewers and listeners, we really do appreciate your patronage. Don't forget to subscribe to our social media pages so that you get updates of our podcasts and you stay in tune with the things that we post, our social media posts. So till we come your way next time, this has been the Community First podcast, where we have social and legal discussions of issues that affect the community. See you another time. Thank you.